Live now, see.
We are live. Hallelujah. Okay, so if you're watching the replay, please be sure to fast forward a little bit so that way you're able to catch the essence of what it is that we are speaking about today. So, as we always do, we want to make sure that we open up in divine prayer for a second, and then we'll get straight into conversation. So, if we can, bow our heads, humble our spirits, Alish Hakavod, Kumaya Hoa, Viafutuo Yevecha. Veanusu misanecha mipanecha. Kuma Yehovah, veafutu oyevecha, veanusu misanecha mipanecha. Kuma Yehovah, veafutu oyevecha, veanusu misanecha mipanecha. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Selah. קודם כל הכבוד ליהוה הקדוש ישראל, לאדוננו רבנו המשיח, הכל נסיכה, שריו, כל חסדיו ומתקודל, שלום עליכם. To all of the viewers and to my brothers who we got on this divine screen. So, if you're just tuning in, or if you will watch the replay, we are speaking about a particular viral post that our brother on the screen right now that you see, our brother Adam, made addressing the state of our youth in Demona. And so there was a lot of controversy, many in agreement, many with opposing views, and many with personal remarks, the whole nine, as anything that is going to bring friction is going to come with. And so I'm thankful that I hit up my brother, never talked to him a day in my life. I don't even know if I've ever even seen him. Maybe on pictures or anything, something maybe, from the past. But I hit him up and I said, hey, listen, as I seen the video that you made, a lot of what you stated was truth. I didn't see any particular malice or envy or some hate and stuff that a lot of people do in general, but also definitely to our community in itself. I didn't feel none of that, and I thought it was a particular topic that needed to be addressed because of the response it got from the people. So I hit him up. He was open to it immediately. Again, that also spoke volumes because again, if he was hiding behind something, to me, he wouldn't have even responded back in that way, and he was said, "Hey, let's go live." So, of course, I had to bring my brother Yosef to make sure that we, had that three number to make sure that everything was addressed how it needed to be addressed, and that we was able to get a better understanding because this is dear to many people. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. If you are just now joining, make sure that you share this because we didn't do a lot of promotion. This was all happening in a matter of a 48-hour period. And so, share this particular live, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the subject at hand. Let's go ahead and start with introductions. If we can, our brother Adam, the Baka Shop, please.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Peace and divine blessing to you all. I'm Adam Malachi Israel, born and raised from the south side of Chicago, now currently living in Israel, and I'm a servant of the King, Yahushua HaMashiach. And
Yes,
I'm the
sir.
first Black American asylum seeker living in the land of Israel 8 years now.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely, at a later time, I want to know more about what you just said as related to that. That sounds interesting. So awesome. Okay, good. You'll say Bavakasha.
Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Again, thank you, brother Adam, for joining us in this discussion in such a difficult time, but also such a blessed time because we got the ability to use our Yah mind to change our conditions and circumstances. So I'm your brother, Prince Yosef, humble servant of the kingdom, also the son of Prince Asiel ben Israel, Shagir Hagadol, and I'm a brother to you, to those who are seeking righteousness, freedom, justice on this planet, and are seeking to build the kingdom of God in real time. And so, again, I'm excited about this conversation. I know so much, not just information, but I believe if the ears are tuned into the truth that we're about to disseminate, a lot of activation is going to come from the words and the conversation that we're going to share today. So I'm extremely excited, brothers.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. Myself, my name is Yorai Ben Adiel. I am a servant and son of the kingdom, born and raised in the kingdom of Yah by way of Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta, out of the Atlanta jurisdiction under His Excellency Nasik Ram Ben Yehuda. And today, again, is a very important conversation. We know this means a lot to the individuals who may be tuning in and or watching the replay. And it's all done out of love and understanding of truth. And truth has no master, wherever it may come from. And we have to always stand on that premise, but make sure that we get understanding, because we can never be at odds with one another. You know, it always has to be from a standpoint that it's us against the problem, not me against you. And so that's what we're here to do today, to get some greater understanding. And by all means, you know, feel free to chime in, comment, but be respectful. We're going to always maintain respect. Okay? Be respectful. And that way we can actually have a dialogue. We're not interested in anything that is going to create more confusion. So we got a couple of disclaimers. Okay? And you'll say, while you're doing that, if you could put your phone on mute, because we can hear all of that very clear. Your mic is too good. All right? So we got a couple of disclaimers.
That's not me, brother. My mic is already on mute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
maybe that's my brother John. Okay. Somebody, I could hear something. So a couple of different things. So we don't know each other at all. I do not know the brother Adam. Never met him. Never, I don't even think I've ever seen him on social media before until this video. If I have, you know, I don't have any remembrance of it. But I'm sure we know a lot of the same people, because I heard that he lived in the land and lived there for some time. And so so we don't know each other. This is our first time having a conversation, so you are privy to this particular conversation. We didn't have a conversation beforehand. This is all live. Okay. Second, our goal is to gain more understanding in the spirit in which he made the video in, more understanding in which the spirit of what the challenges that we are dealing with as a nation and our youth, and more understanding as it relates to the battle we're up against wholeheartedly, and why the nation was formed in the first place, because even many of us don't even understand that. Okay. And then we're going to be talking about proposing some solutions. What's some possible solutions that within our ability that we can help to solve some of these issues and solve some of the concerns, okay? Not only just affecting our youth, but our youth as a people worldwide, because we're under the same attack, whether we know it or not, okay? And then we want to make sure it's clear, neither myself, okay, nor my brother Yosef, we did not grow up in Dimona. We grew up in the community, okay, from the community, but we did not grow up in Dimona. So perspectives are always going to be different based upon our geographical locations. The experience of the kingdom in America, it was a very different experience than in Dimona. So if we have anybody who's from Dimona who'd like to chime in as relates to comment, even if we may even have an extra slot, if at any moment in time we see that you could actually, you know, get on the live, we'll do that also more towards the end. But we want to just put that up front. So without further ado, unless any other brothers got anything to say, we'll go straight into it. I want to ask some questions for Adam as a prerequisite before we get into the greater conversation. You'll say, you got anything? You good? Adam, you got anything?
I'm good, brother.
Okay. Hallelujah. So, okay, first thing. So, Adam, there was many questions as relates to, again, just the nature of the video. We live in a time of social media now where people do things on social media for views, click, bait, clout chasing, what people may call it, certain things like that. And in the comment sections, you know, I was able to view some of those things where people were saying those things, et cetera, et cetera. And so my question, so that you can address those particular things right here live, is, well, before we even get to that, what has been and what is your relationship to our community? Being that you're in the land of Israel, what's your relationship to the community? You on mute, brother. There you go.
Okay. All right, that's what I'm gonna have to do when I unmute and mute. But to answer your question, my connection with the community go back as far as when I first came here, 2018, 8 years ago, almost 9 years
Man.
ago now. And so when I first came here, I didn't come here. I didn't know nothing about the community. I didn't come here for the community. I came here bearing the divine mathematical revelation that proved that the year is 364 days. And I came in this land to view equal parts night and day when I came into this land. That was my particular cause. And while I was here, I was aware that we had people in this land who had been here. And it was my duty by Yah to go ahead and bring forth the revelation that had been given to me unto them. So that's what I did. It was an elder in Arad who points to the temple of Tel Arad as Jerusalem, as the Jerusalem, as he says. So I came and saw that. I broke bread with him and showed the revelation to him. He has already tension with the community as a whole, so they didn't like him, and it was likewise. But he took me down there because I didn't know anybody, so he drove me down there to the Kefar. I met Sar El Yakin at that time, and I let him know, hey, I'm here to bring forth, a divine revelation. And instantly, he checked the guy who I was with and let him know that he wasn't supposed to be down here. But he spoke to me like, okay, it's serious, so I'm gonna tell the body, and we're gonna get a meeting for you and let you, just show what you got. So that happened. So I went back up, then I came back down, and I spent the week with the Demona community, and I shared this with a few select group of the elders at that time. At that time, when Nasi Keskiahu was still alive, rest in peace to him, and you had a few others, Sar Madiel, Amaya, Sar El Yakin, Kohen Abir, a few other select individuals that I can recall by name. So they all bear witness to what I brought forth, and they all was in agreement with what I had revealed. So let that be clear. There was no denying on what I had revealed at that particular time. So during that stay, at the end of the week, within my 7-day stay, I end up, letting them show me around Israel. I didn't come here to see Israel, but I let Sar El Yakin take me on the sacred visitation. He showed me the land of Israel, had a wonderful time, broke bread with the brethren, and at the end of my stay, the elders had protest in Tel Aviv that they was answering to, that the government of Israel was trying to kick out 40,000 Africans because they said they had an illegitimate claim to asylum. So the elders had ordered a bus, and we traveled on a Saturday night, on a Shabbat night, to go up there to be participants in that, because the elders, Sarkaz Riel and them, was thinking that they were going to participate on stage and speak on the behalf of these asylum seekers because they were sharing the cause of oppression being in Israel. Long story short, they didn't get that chance to acknowledge, speak their part. So we was there. Some of the elders translated for me what was going on in this rally, because they was only speaking Hebrew, and they let me know they talking about, these Africans got to leave the country because they have an illegitimate claim to seeking asylum. So I said, Black Americans, we really going through, this black, racial discrimination and persecution, and if we came to the land of Israel, we wouldn't want to be come here looking for a job. We want to be redeemed from the persecution over there, and we want to serve the God of Israel, who we truly serve. And we ain't even got to be dealing with, the cities of Israel. You can put us somewhere with all this empty space out here, and we'll mind our business. I guarantee you, if we knew that we can seek asylum and get out of America. So I mentioned that at the rally, and all the elders was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. You know why we didn't think about that? Being here 50 years." And so I'm like, "What we doing?" No one said anything. Fine, Beseda. But they took serious the revelation at that time. So the next day, after seeing that, after that seed was planted about being a refugee, and I saw that could be the opening door for Black Americans. My grandmother passed away. I had to go back to America. From going back to America, I dealt, brought the revelation to a few other different camps. I went and traveled out, different ISUPK, all these other different individuals showed them the revelation. They was interested. Sorry, I came to call me back from America because they wanted me to come back and bring the presentation back to a group of a bigger body of the elders that wasn't able to see the full presentation. Like I said, it was a select group. So they was like, he like, when you coming back, we want to, let everybody else see it. So that was my understanding. Okay, the Father is with them. Let me go ahead, bring this forth. So upon coming up there, long story short, that time when I got there, I came up there around New World Passover time for the second time. And, there was a situation going on that was like a Me Too event with, it came during that summertime where the sisters and all that would start to talk about their trials and tribulations here in Israel. Because I wasn't from here, but I'm a sovereign citizen of Israel and I speak for justice. I started to, while I was waiting around for the elders to get to this meeting for me, I started to inquire about, what was going on with that. And so, it may not have been no, real tension at that time, but nevertheless, it was like I was treated like, mind your business. We're dealing with a situation and da 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 da. So I had to take everybody's word for it at that time without meeting any of the elders, without meeting any of the sisters that was giving their causes or whatever the case may be at that time. And nobody expected for me to be living in Israel. So by the end of the summer, the Father revealed to me, that it was upon me to go ahead and seek this asylum. And so when I went forth seeking this asylum, I told them, the elders, hey, I'm about to do this. And they was like, that's a wonderful idea. And once again, we should have been a part of it. We should have been did that. We with you. But I'm like, okay, my visa is a month past expired now while I'm about to go through this. And so it was told to me, oh no, your visa, why you do that? Why your visa was expired? We've been here for 50 years. The government gonna give you all types of backlash. They're gonna think you up to something. And I'm just like, this is the Father's will. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my people. I see a legitimate reason for me and all my people to be able to leave America that we didn't know about at first. So I'm like, I'm gonna go through with it because I did the due diligence of looking everything up on my own. And I'm like, if it goes through, then it's the Father's will. It's not me proving anything. And so, long story short, the following year came forth, and I became the first Black American asylum seeker living in the land of Israel. And so from there, that was my introduction to the community. That was my on and off relationship with them. And once I've been established here, our relationship, pretty much been on and off. Me, particularly with the elders, I have never got the chance to really meet the youth. You understand? I was going, the elders was the bridge for the actual youth actually meeting me. I had no other purpose to actually come into Dimona outside of the elders having something for me to come to. So other than that, I was just communicating with them. So the elders never got the chance to get my experience, my presence. But I would always tell the elders, like, y'all need to let y'all children hear me. I was telling them all these years since I've been here, I've been telling them, like, I'm really from the streets. And they need to hear my testimony. I'm redeemed. I'm a transformed man. They need to understand why I came over here to Israel and why my zeal to leave America was the way it was, mirroring the same journey that the elders took when they left America. So you need to see the modern day of what it looks like for one who follows Yah and say, look, enough is enough with this. I'm out. And they need to understand why. Because if they hear my voice, they wouldn't want to really be that way. If they really go into a closed environment and hear my real life stories, real street events, real things on how I really go down in the streets, what you got to really stand on when you're really about that life, I believe they can be healed. But I didn't get that opportunity. So when it came to me even bringing forth this video right now, trust and believe, I didn't even want to have to, I'm not a cloud chaser. So if anybody who actually looked at my Facebook, you see I don't even post. And to the point, all this year, I got so tired of speaking the truth and giving our people necessary message that they need to hear, but it's been going on deaf ears that I haven't posted all year. I haven't posted in 5 months from the time that I made this video. So that proves that I'm not a social booty trying to get views. And my views, my videos always watched by those who already know of me. So there's nothing new that come from this reaction. It's just that this reaction really sensitive because a lot of people knew about it. But I spoke to the elders first in a group that I just got removed from. You understand that I let them know here. I brought the calls to them in the private sector and showed them the video and said, do we turn a blind eye to this in the land? Nobody said nothing for over 24 hours. So I responded again and said, okay, well then let no one else talk about nation building or let no one else talk about what's going on in Dimona, because the children have declared how it really goes down in the deep. So unless justice is established, because Yah establishes his kingdom on justice and righteousness, unless justice and accountability is established amongst the youth and the elder leadership, let no more building go forth or speaking about it. So after that, Sar Amadia responded, and he said what he said, and it was like left it at that. He said he spoke to the parents, asked them if they knew about it. He gonna try to set up a meeting with the young boys and talk to them. And he was like, "Thank you, but you know, who are you? What nation building? You know what you talking about? And we've been here 60 years. Da 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 da. All that defensive. When I'm trying to get to the bottom of what representation we trying to uphold here, if truly I'm a man of truth, I don't compromise. Truth is absolute, and it has no master, but it has a source, Yah. So because truth has a source and Yah is the source, that means that we as individuals of the body, no matter if we're part of a camp, an individual group of Israelites, if we're sovereign of our own, we demand answers for injustice. I don't want to, I'm from the real, so I don't want to see only stories about what's good, because that confuses everybody else in the world to act like, okay, this is what it is. And by me being in the land of Israel, I've been here long enough, and I've been amongst the people of Israel long enough to know how Israel feel about Dimona. I ain't been on my platform exposing and talking about this, that, the other. I ain't doing all that. I've been trying to reach out to my people one-on-one. They've been silencing me. They've been shunning me. They've been removing me from groups. They've been hindering me or not responding to messages or not answering phone calls. I'm calling elders and telling them I'm right here in the lot. I'm only a couple hours of drive, and I'm free in my time. I could come up there and sit on the couch and break bread with y'all any given time. They won't let it happen. So now the youth is looking at me like I'm doing something when really they don't understand this is all the elders who have put the barrier between us, and that ultimate barrier between us became the fact that I stand on Yahusha as Hamashiach, and they stand on Ben Ami, and the community stands on Ben Ami. That's a bridge between us that becomes a spiritual doctrine situation that overlooks everything that I try to bring to the table without talking about doctrine, without talking about what belief is, just being a person trying to bring something to the table positive for our people. That becomes the barrier, because it's like either get down and say this, or we don't really want that Greco woman and all that. Just putting a stigmatism on something that you don't even understand how everybody coming with. Every Israelite who understands Yahushua HaMashiach is not a Christian. Everyone is not one of the Hebrew Israelites over there banging in the camps. You got to be able to give the platform for somebody to tell you how they look at that, so you can have a clear picture. But if you put everybody in a box, and that's how you just push everybody away, because as soon as they say Christ, Yahushua, Jesus, Yeshua, whatever name they call it, if they even say that, it's like, nah, that ain't what we want. We don't want that over here. So that's the introduction to that.
That was a great introduction. That gave me a lot of insight and a lot of understanding as it relates to where you're coming from, and shared some things that definitely need to be addressed in this particular conversation. We're going to streamline it, but this is going to open up the dialogue for more conversations. And again, thankful that you was able to take this opportunity to be able to speak on this. Now, I do want to ask a follow-up question, if we can just kind of simplify this, the answer for it, so that we can continue on. And then I want to make sure Yosef don't have anything. But my question is, okay, so with your revelation, and we're not gonna get into the depths of it. We'll have time to do that. We're gonna build with you, as brothers outside of this. But with your revelation, in you coming to the land of Israel, is it in your revelation, or has it been revealed to you at all, that you are going to either build an organization, be a part of a nation? You're going, like, how does that portion work as it relates to your revelation to give you a platform and the ability to be able to have a say so at a particular table? How does that look as it relates to that, with when it comes to what your revelation consists of?
When the Father gave me this mathematical revelation, for me, it was one thing just clear to understand. Bringing this to the lost children of Israel. This is our restoration. This is something that no nation on this earth can stand against. Once we come together and look at it, this is it. So this is the kingdom that comes from within, and I'm a servant of Yahushua. So I come only forth to correct, to reprove, to show revelation, to let everyone know to come back into the ways and the remembrance of Yah and get in line with divine order. So for me, I'm here to bring forth sovereignty to our individuals. I'm a sovereign citizen of Israel. I don't need no one to govern and tell me what to do because I govern myself righteously. And our people need to know how to do that so they can understand how the kingdom is within them and how they can be functional and effective when they move around here, even on their own. Even if they choose to leave America and go somewhere on their own, they need to know how to operate and conduct their spirit in a sovereign manner where they can be protected and confident in what they do. This revelation is a part of that seal to where that when you understand this, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. It's already been proven. All of the elders and everybody that have seen and already bear witness to the revelation, they know this. I've been having to bear the burden of being alone speaking on it, but everyone knows that they asked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I understand that. So my question would be then, this follow up as relates to that. Then, what is the youth or Damona itself? What is the concern there for you?
For the youth of Damona, what's the concern for me?
For Damona in itself, our community in itself, what is the concern for you?
Well, the concern right now at this moment in time is, you know, they represent the land.
Let me say that better. Why does it concern you?
Everything from the time I step forth on the scene, everyone who know me and understand my platform, I speak for the whole. So my words is not for no particular people or my eyes not deadlocked on no particular group. I speak justice amongst all of the bodies, all of the different camps, all of the leaders who have, like ISUPK, when General Hanna was telling his people to get the vaccine, I made a video about that. You understand? This is y'all leader. He telling y'all to get the vaccine. I'm here in Israel and I said don't get it. I stood on business and said don't get it. So whoever said get it, this is the result. We understand what that looked like now. So when it comes down to nation business, I'm talking about all the children of Israel, not those who get excluded because people done already grouped up. I'm a blood descendant. I'm in everybody's business because I'm an Israelite. So if you say you Israel and we in the land of Israel, this land don't belong to Damona. You understand? There's other Israelites here. There's other people in, that live in different cities. Ashkelon, you got some converted Jews over here. They black, they from America. Like inside, we know what belongs to us, and we ain't trying to argue about it. So when it comes down to having the territory and the having the control of the narrative of what goes on here in Israel, that's what I've seen has been a problem that bridges the gap in what's going on and makes it hard for us to coincide, because my experience being here in the land of Israel is authentic and true, can't be denied. And so their experience in the land of Israel conflicts with mine far as what I stand on in truth, what I know should be revealed, what things have been concealed, and how everyone outside of the community only get a certain PR picture. Period. You only get a certain picture, but if you live here long enough like me, you see that picture is not the true picture. I, as a man of Yah and a man of justice, I don't appreciate that for our people. It's almost like deceptive for you to put up this act, because it's like, if you know can't nobody come over here and live here, everybody that want to come to Israel even to visit, when they come to visit Damona, naturally everybody asks, how can we live here? And they don't got no option for that. So it's like, y'all, we gonna direct y'all to Ghana or somewhere else, and we gonna dictate to y'all from Israel how it go down here. But everybody want to be here. But if you want to come here, now you got to go through them because they know the language. They've been here all this time. They're gonna put all of this authority of experience on you that make you feel like you gotta shrink to their experience. I don't shrink. You understand? I'm able to comprehend and learn. I'm able to see my environments. I'm able to learn the streets on my own. I didn't need to be amongst the Damona young brothers and sisters to be able to know the streets of Israel. I'm from the streets. Smoking weed, I was telling the brother, like, if you can go to any country, if you smoke weed, all you gotta do is ask the weed, you know what I'm saying? When you find the weed man gonna be cool with you and tell you everything that's going on underground. That ain't no big deal. You understand? They make it all complicated. You understand? And it's depending on who you are, you know what I'm saying, when a real person gonna tell you as much as they gonna tell you. So when you got all these people saying, I don't know what's going on here in Israel, and they trying to, you know what I'm saying, make this whole picture of there is really gangsters in Israel. People got offended by, acting like, oh, why you say they're not gangsters? It's really, you really know what's going on. I'm like, y'all really trying to paint the picture that is really necessary for it to be gangster here? Y'all don't want to feel like I'm saying that y'all not gangsters, so y'all want to prove a point and try to, express and making the comments like, whatever y'all want to say, you want to indicate that I'm right, that you want to be gangster, even though I'm telling you ain't from that. So this is a problem for the community of the elders and for the youth as a representation of me being in the land of Israel, as a person who's been here 8 years. You think how many times I travel all throughout Israel. You know how many times you think a person asks me when they just get to meet me for the first time, you from the moment? How many times you think that happened within my time of being here? You understand? So naturally, if a black American be walking around here, if they just traveling, depending on who you run into, the first reference is Demona until they get to understand who you are, until they ask you questions, and then it's like, okay, they understand the difference. But then if you ask them about Demona, I don't think people want to know on my side what Israel say about it. I don't choose no sides. I'm a neutral person who had to survive on my own here. So I got people I done met that's Israeli and all the other different type of countries. Other different races. I done sat down with them and I understand the whole. What do we represent here in Israel, being here in the land of Israel? What is our purpose to be in the land of Israel? To uphold the true divine standard of being Israelites of the covenant in every facet of the way. If you're going to dress down in regular street clothes, your behavior needs to be able to operate and be seen as still a reflection of Yah. It ain't hard to do because I do it, and I'm a living proof of it. So ultimately, for me, the youth, when you get down to the youth, you understand. I mentioned the young brother in there who got an O-Block chain on. I seen them grouped up when I went to the New York Passover this year, a couple months ago. And I walked over and I seen it, and I talked to the young brothers. I didn't want to disrupt the event at that time. It was nighttime. They having a good time. It didn't look like it was nothing going on. They had some cameras up. I wasn't, thinking nothing of it. But I went over there, check the temperature and see what was going on with them on the positive side of things for it to come to this. And I ain't, I could have made an issue with the O-Block chain there, but like I said, that wasn't the energy and frequency I was on. Ain't nobody seen me in a long time, so I was there. I ain't been to New World Passover in over 5 years since I've been here. So this is my first time coming back. Everybody seen me, it's all good. But to see that video, that was a different statement, because I'm really from Chicago. I'm really from the streets. I really know, families and everything they surround these particular type of issues that has been publicized by famous artists. You understand? There's real blood and real parents still crying and grieving from a chain that young man got on that's thicker than the one who actually originated the chain. So it's like, dang, you big Von, huh? I'm saying? You big King Von. Walking around in Israel, that mean a parent who actually had to go through that demon struggle in Chicago can up and see a video from Israel and be like, God, the God that she believe in sent that demon into Israel and let him do a video in Israel. That ain't Israel. Who the hell gonna say that's Israel if a parent see an O-Block chain in a video in Israel and she believe in God? You think that don't touch nobody? That's how I'm looking at it on multiple different layers of things. And if I know people personally that's involved with that O-Block situation, because I've been over here in Israel on my own walk and everything, what if that hits really personally home to me to where that I'm like, that chain belonged to me. You don't even need to know why. But, young brother, that chain belonged to me. And if you was where I'm really from, you wouldn't be wearing that chain. Boy, that's a present. That's a real present. So you can get away wearing that anywhere else in the world. But if you come to where it really come from, you ain't wearing that chain. I promise you ain't. I guarantee you ain't. So I had to address these things because the youth don't know and the elders don't know how serious it really is.
So I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I want Yosef, because I know Yosef may have some things. I want to say one more thing, and I want to give. This is from the heart to the heart of you, because I can hear your heart and I can feel your heart. I'm not intimidated by the warrior spirit in which you carry, and I feel the sincerity in what it is that you are saying. And of course, that lion spirit it will create a effect where a lot of people may feel the discomfort. But I hear and I feel the sincerity in what it is that you're saying. But I'm gonna share something, and this is not for us to have a dialogue about it today, but this is for us to be able to set the platform for the relationship that will be continuous. And so this is just for meditation, but I want to say something again from me to you, because I do feel you. And so two things. One, I want to talk about the spirit of our father and our leader and our teacher, His Excellency Rabbi Ben Ami Hamashiach. What he brought us and what many of us have experienced was he had that a real great balance of lion and a lamb. And oftentimes that lamb aspect of us, what is a lot more effective. It allows us to be able to get the thing that we want to see done. He tapped into those energies and was able to get things done because of that contrast and that divine balance and energy. So I'm saying to you, as a lion, many of what you just said and a lot of what you just said has a lot of truth in it, and you are absolutely right. You are very valuable to not only our youth, but youth around the world, where this drill music has taken precedence in their lives, and they have adapted this as a lifestyle. And coming from it, you become a valuable piece to it. And it seems like you've been there for 8 years, as you said. You haven't made videos like this before. So I wouldn't put it in the category as clout chasing, because again, if that was the case, you could have did it a long time ago. You could have did it when you saw the old blockchain. So I'm in agreement with that. And I'm also in agreement with you making the video, because now it has led to a particular conversation with us and yourself. Had you ever never made it, this conversation wouldn't have existed, to where now we can utilize that experience and actually put it into action to be able to get that mentorship and that leadership that's necessary for them to be able to experience, so they would not be trying to emulate such a decadent culture that the people who are in it are trying to get out of. So, full agreement. But what I will say is as you are communicating this and as you are doing your ministry of what was revealed to you, it's going to require even more patience. It's going to require even more humility. Even if you know you're right, it's going to require all of these things, because that's the wisdom, because you still have to understand that what was sacrificed to build this nation, people take dearly, and it's very sensitive. So the wisdom in it is have more humility, have more patience, have more long suffering in that, to see the greater good if your heart is truly sincere. As again, I don't have a reason to think that it's not, because these are real people with real challenges, but it also has to take place. Think about our forefather David. David was king. But in him being king, when he went into exile, he had no more. He got disrespected so much that the man in the desert somewhere throwing rocks at him, cussing him out, and David took that because of his humility. He was no longer in the position to just give an order and it was going to be taken throughout the nation. He took that. So even if it is truth that we're dealing with, there's still ways, times, circumstances to know how to use the lion and the lamb for effectiveness. That's one aspect of that I'm sharing, that I particularly continue to study and learn from His Excellency Ben Ami, that he was able, if you ever was able to have a chance to meet him or be around him, very very quiet. Around, you wouldn't see him do a lot of talking when he's in the midst. Very quiet, very humble. You could feel the humility on him. That is what gave him the ability and the power, where people trusted in him and his leadership, that then gave him a platform to inculcate the revelation and the prophetic divine order that was given unto him. He was able to do all of those things because of that contrast. That he was lying, he could tear your head off, but he was also lamb. My father was able to spend lots of time with him, and he was in his personal quarters, driving him around, being in security in the land of Israel, also in America, in Babylon. He had that type of relationship with my father where he trusted him. So he was able to talk to him in a very intimate way and see how he, operated in all these different areas. And that single spirit of him was why he was so effective. And so I'm saying that as we continue, that, what it is that you're saying, I like a lot of what you're saying and respect it. But this is something that I want to share with you, and we'll build upon it again, something to meditate on. We'll build upon it, here in the near future. But what I want to do now is give way to Yosef to see if Yosef has anything as relates to at this particular time before we go forward and we talk about the actual video and some of the things as relates to it. Yosef, Bavakasha.
Cain, it's nothing in particular that I want to contribute to the conversation outside of this is a beautiful opportunity, obviously, for us, a part of this conversation in this particular platform, but even those who are listening, because a lot of times our disagreements or perceived disagreements is rooted in our own personal biases and perspectives. And when we can communicate effectively and get to the true nature of a person and their position, we're able to unearth a lot of the similarities that we share. And so we see you, Brother Adam, as our brother, not because you're just our brother, but the passion, the warrior-like spirit, your ability to, irrespective to the trials or tribulations or whatever comes with it, to seek justice no matter what and to speak truth to power. Not for, like you said, your own self-aggrandizement or for some type of publicity, but to really unearth the issues that are affecting us that you know firsthand. Like you, I was born and raised in Chicago. So I live down the street from O Block. Our family restaurant down the street from O Block. So we know what King Drive, 64th and King Drive is historically, but we also know the other places and the other communities. So I'm only saying it to say this is very a sensitive subject to us, but the success of our young sons is also a sensitive subject to us. And that's what this thing is about. That's what this conversation is about. So it's my fervent prayer to take this moment in time as an inflection point that we personally, and we want to make that commitment as your brothers, to personally continue the conversation and work together. And when we're up in Israel, that we personally come see you and sit with you and strategize on the different ways to make sure that we protect this thing of ours. But we also want to extend to you, brother, an olive branch in the sense that though we see your sovereignty as an individual, we also want you to let you know you do have a nation, that you do have a brotherhood, that you do have a group of men and women, in particular men who are serious as you are about the liberation of our people's not just bodies, but their minds and their souls and their spirits, and that we're all in alignment under the Holy One of Israel and his ordinance and his laws. And so, yes, you can accomplish great things as an individual sovereign, and I know you have the protection and the covering of the Holy and Heavenly Father, Yahweh, but we're also saying that, you got a brotherhood too, and we pray that we can continue to build that up so that these things go hand in hand as we continue to build, this heaven on earth, brother. So that's it for me.
Absolutely. Adam, you want to respond to that, or?
I respect and appreciate everything that's been spoken by both of you brothers thus far. You understand, we touch and agreeing and resonating with the same spirit of cordial understanding. So we in tune, we locked in. This is the first steps in the measure of something greater. Indeed. So
Absolutely.
what we say here, will be what was necessary to be said here. But as we continue to break bread and communicate outside of here, that'll only strengthen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally in total agreement. Hallelujah. So we're going to get into the actual video here in a second. So that's what we want to just get into and keep the focus so that we can deal with that alone. Oftentimes, with our people, things are so sensitive and people don't feel like they don't have a voice in their own spaces and own world. So a lot of times we conflate and we mix in things with our own personal insecurities, past traumas, etc. And oftentimes it's hard for us to be able to deal with particular specific conversations because we are putting so many other things inside of that particular conversation. So today we're going to deal with the actual video itself, what is being shown, what is being seen, and then the overall arching point, and then deal with, okay, what are some things that we can do if there's improvement that needs to be made. So before that, if you're watching and you're tuning in and you may not even know what it is that we're talking about, just to give you an overview, myself and my brother Yosef, we are from the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, aka the Kingdom of Yah. Okay, we're both born in the States, raised in the States, myself in Atlanta, my brother in Chicago, as he stated. And so that's a similarity that he has with our brother Adam, who was also from Chicago. And so, we are people who left America in the late 1960s went to Liberia and then into the land of Israel, where we officially established the kingdom of Yah here on earth under His Excellency Abba Gadol Hamashiach Ben Ami. And we have been carrying out that prophetic vision ever since, with many trials, with many tribulations. But, in the scriptures, it said that you'll know a tree by the fruit it bears. And so the fruit that has been born from the kingdom has been great fruit, whether we're talking about from holistic health, whether we're talking about in getting our people as relates to understanding the identity, taking that to the four corners of the earth, whether you're talking about beating, some of the greatest adversarial forces in their own systems. We can go on and on and on and on about the fruit that this has produced, and it's undeniable. Are there challenges? Are there struggles? As a great story will always have. But as Abba said in around 2008, if there's problems, we're going to go with them, okay? Because at least we know we're going in the right direction. And so I am an embodiment of that particular seed and fruit as I strive each and every day to become more and more like this original idea and what it is that we're set out to do. And so we link with other brothers and sisters who also understand this sacred truth, and we continue to build. Are there going to be ideological differences? Absolutely. As in the days of our forefathers, there will always be ideological differences. But ideas are meant to be manifested. And we'll know by the fruits in which they manifest. And so struggles are oftentimes confused with failures. And as Yosef will, eloquently define as relates to that. But all movements go through these particular things. And today we're discussing one of those things and challenges that we are having issues with, that we have to address, and we don't sweep under the rug. We don't, put off on anybody else, but you are talking to the right individuals. Adam, with that, if that's a valid, as your valid concern, you're talking to the right individuals who are dedicating our lives, not going astray from this, not looking somewhere else and trying to find something else to validate who we are or what we are, or going astray from what we have been taught. We believe in wholeheartedly of the mission and the vision of 66, and we're going to establish and show that this is the highest form in thought on this planet and on this earth. And so we're dedicated to that. That don't mean we can't build with anybody else who may feel differently, who may feel that they have something else to contribute. We understand Yah works in various ways and will come through many people. And so we're always looking at what are the commonalities and the similarities that we can build upon, and everything else will work itself out in due time. And so that's what it is that we, came here to establish, to talk about, and to get more understanding on. So if there's no further ado as relates to the brothers, then we can go into the video itself to actually just break down the video.
Yes, I've been showing comments, and I want to thank all the brothers and sisters who have been commenting and showing their support. Please continue to do so. Also, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we will display them on the screen as well as discuss them. And it is one, before we go into the video, that we will address briefly. Let me enlarge it.
And while you pulling that up, Yosef, our brother Matael, gave thanks to you, brother Adam, my brother Matael, from the land of Israel, from Dimona, born and raised. And he just said, thank you for allowing us to be able to have this conversation. And what he means by that is just simply having the courage to put out what you felt to do, and then being open to, have a conversation with us, live. So he wanted to just extend those things as it relates to that.
So do we have the question? Can you brother see it? Posted the comment?
It's kind of it's on the screen. It's a little
small.
It ain't small. It's just it's like the transparency of it. Yeah.
Understood.
So but you can read it though. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll put something behind it.
Yeah, if you put something behind it, it'll actually show.
That's better?
Yes.
All right. My humble request as an elder and someone that has addressed various social issues for many years is that you brothers hold this discussion with your peers, both male and female, that have grown up in this land and that have like mindsets. Truth cannot and must not be denied. These issues have been discussed and are being discussed, even though it may not appear so based on what we've been seeing. If I may, I'll deal with this wonderful comment from our wonderful sister. We are having a conversation with our peers at this present moment. That's what this is. We are not remiss of the point of private, more intimate conversations, but such issues cannot be shied away from, as brother stated, because it does one or two things. It makes us seem hypocritical if we do not address it, and like these things don't exist, or it, for the youth, make it seem acceptable because there is not a public declaration in dealing with the said problem or issue, so to speak. And this conversation, again, isn't to point the finger at anyone, but it's to show ourselves first and foremost, but also the collective world that, no, we're not hiding from our responsibility. And as my brother said, we're not mistaken that process sometimes appears as failure. We understand that all of these things have to be dealt with, and they will be dealt with in its due time. But we're showing the continuity of generations, that there are those who are the sons and daughters of the kingdom, or the kingdom mindset, who are seeking in everything that they do to deal with the difficult subject matters that persist in our communities, in our environments, and in our homes. Again, we're not out here to air out no dirty laundry in the sense that we're having a conversation that is disparaging, but we're not afraid to deal with the reality of our condition, where we are versus where we need to be, and how we mend those bonds. So this is a conversation first with our peer, in the sense that we're having this public conversation to activate those who may not be aware or abreast of what we're doing and who we are. Like brother said, we wouldn't have known brother if he didn't make this public declaration. So we don't look at it as an oppositional force. We look at it as somebody who is blowing the trumpet to say, hey, this is out of order. This is not in its proper cycle or season. We need to address that. We're the brothers that have the spirit to take on these challenges and to deal with these things. Because guess what? Those brothers, those young sons that we about to show, they belong to us. And I'm not saying in no authoritative sense. I mean, they're our responsibility, because not only do they come from our kingdom, but they are the next generation of those who will influence our younger children. You see what I'm saying? So they can either influence them in the righteous way or they can influence them in a negative way. So before it gets to the point where either life takes them too far to the left or they realize at the very last moment right before they're locked up for the rest of their life or dead in a grave. No, we're going to deal with it now. We're going to speak to a truth to power, and then we're going to give them examples that they should be replicating with real power. We're going to show real gangsters actually overturn governments. Real gangsters take out the wicked forces of the world and institute righteous nations that have the ability to bring harmony onto the planet. Now, we're going to show you what real gangsters are, not Negroes that pick on the vulnerable and the weak and the meek and try to pick on their own people. No, we ain't doing that. We showing you how to take on the wicked powers of the world in a real form of fashion. That's real gangsterism if you want to be a gangster, if that's the term you want to use, but then you change your language and you understand that you are actually just warriors for the Holy One of Israel, warriors of Yah Yisrael. So, my dear sister, I only wanted to say that in brief that, yes, we all have to have these conversations. We have to have them private. We have to have them public. You know what I'm saying? There are going to be some differences, some distinctions in the two, but there's got to be had all the way around because everything that we do has to be geared towards bringing light to lies and deception and falsehood and making sure that truth stands unabated. And that's what we're doing. So and there will be more conversations that will result of this, in private. Now they know who to reach out, or at least some more people to reach out to have these conversations in earnest. And I believe by the end of this conversation, whatever you thought about our dear brother Adam, you're going to see in a different light. And now you can engage with him with another level of understanding, knowing that, hey, that brother is not my enemy, nor is he somebody trying to disparage me. He's genuinely concerned about the upliftment of our people and our community, and how do we work together on the truth that he has shared with us. So I just wanted to address that. But brothers, if there's anything before we play the video, I can definitely give you the mic. I'll take you off mute.
No, you good. I'm good.
Good. Let's go right into the video.
Demons feeling like I'm God of war. Protected by the shield, nigga, I need a sword. Protected by the shield, I need a sword. Long hair, I feel like Thor. Many men, I bet 100 men can't beat me in a war.
So wait, you need to tell me that now there are gangsters in Israel from the Demona community now? In Israel, you have gangsters. That's what's going on here? Wow. Can't escape that nowhere in the world, it seemed to be, right? Did y'all parents bring y'all here to be gangsters in the land of Israel? If you call yourself Jew, Israelite, or whatever, Hebrew Israelite, whatever you want to call yourself, black Hebrew Israelite, whatever you want to call yourself, living in the land of Israel, being born in the land of Israel, speaking the native language of Hebrew in the land of Israel, and that's what y'all want to represent? That's what it's supposed to look like? Where are the ops and where are the gangsters? Where the enemies at that you got to have over here for y'all to look like that? What is the point of y'all? What y'all doing over there on the blocks? Got the old block chains on? That's from where I'm from. King Von from where I'm from. I'm really from the streets of Chicago where really all that go down from. I originate from really where that happens at. I came over here. I've been here in the land of Israel for 8 years now. I have not seen that activity around here. No need for that particular activity around here, especially amongst those of the Demona community. This is a straight disgrace and a disrespect to your parents and to all of Israel to show that, hey, we're going to be here and be some little nigglets from America and rap and make our music and try to get famous. Y'all need to take that on back over there where y'all never been to. But y'all want to act like that? Y'all need to go ahead and get shipped right on over to the block and see what it really looked like to deal with that situation over there, because chances are you won't make it out. That's the real truth of the matter. So you can perpetrate that over here, but the real deal is you can't make it out of that real lifestyle. So why perpetrate that here in the land of Israel? Why put that out here like that's what's going on here? I don't want to be a person that's stereotyped by I'm from Demona and that's what it looks like, that's what it represents. And should no other black person coming from anywhere around the world, America and all, should be looked at as if we're coming to be an influence on that particular type of behavior that y'all got going on. So I'm here to address it right now because first off, it's an offense to me being actually from that and knowing what it's like for those parents who have lost their children in the streets because of this type of gang violence and stuff that's going on, that's being perpetuated amongst the black culture. Israel ain't the place for it. Let that be known. Brothers, young thugs, young gangsters, this ain't the place for it. So since nobody else want to speak and say anything about it, I have to let it be known that y'all don't represent the whole. Y'all don't even represent the whole community of individuals who know that they don't act like that and who know that they'll speak out against that. But I guess they kind of headlocked too from really vocalizing themselves and putting some words on y'all. So let it be known. Ain't no favoritism being shown over here when it comes down to speaking on oppression or speaking on what's going wrong about Israel or anything like that, and you can't address this right here. Period.
We live. We back up.
Can we hear it back on?
Yep, you back on. We can hear you live.
Okay. So yeah, that was the video. For those who have not seen it, hopefully you was able to see the video. Please be sure to, again, in respect and out of love and respect, put your comments as relates to what was shown and what was said, and what your perspective is on what was shown and what was said. Let's separate. If you know, brother, you've seen this content before somewhere else, let's separate all that. Let's take this video face value for this particular video. What was said, what was shown, okay, in this particular video. Do you agree with what he was saying? Okay, so before I give even more commentary, Yosef, is there anything in particular as relates to the video, that you would like to speak to, and what your thoughts about it overall?
Yeah, let me play. I know a lot of people are asking for the full video, right? And you ask kind of my thoughts. So it's a couple comments asking, for the whole song, and I share with you, Brother Prince Yorai, about my initial sentiments, because I kind of heard it. I listened to it several times, maybe 15, 20 times, and it almost appeared that in that little clip that I heard, because I still haven't heard the full song myself, that they were attempting to style maybe scriptorial language or a certain type of consciousness in the drill music. And my initial thoughts was like, well, if that's the case, it's something there that we can mold. But I don't want that to be distracting from the point that brother was made, because the more I listen to brother, the more I realize that it has to be explained, the importance of, even if that's the case, even if they would have said Yakai in it, it's a certain vibration that goes with such a sacred name and a sacred utterance. And you don't want to conflate that which has been already associated with not just wickedness, but the highest form of wickedness, which is self-infliction, self-murder, harm, and drug abuse, and all those different things that we know coincides with drill music. And I understand how captivating the beat is, and that's part of the allure, right? That it's meant to captivate you so that you can kind of numb yourself to the lyrics. But we can't fall victim of the same type of style and approach that the world uses to promote their debauchery and their wickedness. So once I listened to it more, I said, no matter how you cut it up, so to speak, there's a lesson that has to be learned, and there's an emphasis on how to approach whatever may be our creative endeavors as young people. But like brother said, when you start to see the other ornaments that they have, like the O-block chain and these different things. So you can see the one or two things. You're either ignorant about what these things mean, then you need to be taught, point in case what brother is doing is right, or you are familiar with what these things represent and you still in light of are choosing to represent it. That means it needs to be dealt with. So again, there's an initial response because when we hear somebody put a mirror up to us and say, but damn, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, or we're dealing with this or this, there's other aspects to it. All true. But we also have to deal with the reality of the representation that we have that people justifiably so, especially in the authentic sense that we now know brother has coming in, has the right to make mention and make light of certain things so that to ensure that these things are corrected. Because as we just stated, we all have to share this reality. We all have to share this world. And so if he's raising a family in Israel, that means he's going to have children. That means his children will have to go interact with our children. So it is an intelligent upon a man that's going to have his children be sent out to the world to try to have at least a cursory influence on those who they will engage with to ensure the safety of his family. And I don't necessarily mean physically, but we mean culturally, we mean spiritually, we mean intellectually. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration as men who are serious about shaping a world where justice and peace can actually thrive and live. And so these conversations, again, they have to be looked at in another perspective. What is the ultimate aim and goal? And I'll close on this point. And if the ultimate aim and goal is to realign ourselves, our ecosystems, and the life support systems under the universal laws of truth, the laws of the universal God, Yah Yisrael, then we have to abide by a certain cultural and behavioral pattern. And that means that we have to hold each other accountable in the most strictest sense, out of love, but we still have to be disciplinaries, because when there's a lack of discipline, there's a lack of order, then we know chaos and confusion are allowed to run rampant. And we cannot afford that reality because we already know what happens when that's the case. Like you said, brother, we come out of that experience. We see when you're not as intentional as mother and father and having the same language, what happens, and the children, how they respond. You see what I'm saying? We see what happens when the community isn't even more involved or producing other alternatives for children. They're going to fall victim to the world and all of its enticements. So whenever we get a chance to try to delineate that which is best versus that which we know is detrimental, especially amongst minds who are underdeveloped, and again, it's just the reality, spiritually, culturally, and hell, physically, biologically, your mind hasn't even developed yet. So science says after you're 25. So if you're 18 and 19, you don't even have the biological processes to even understand what you're doing, let alone the spiritual and the intellectual. So those of us who are mature, those of us who have gone through this, those of us who have seen both sides of the proverbial coin, we have to speak to it in a way that don't just grab the attention of those who we're speaking with, but also has in it the necessary direction in which they should travel. And so that's what this conversation is both of them. It's talking to it, it's getting your attention. Because, and I'll say this in closing, I know I just said that, but I'm really going to close on this. If he would have just came up and just kind of like spoke to it in a very soft, kind of dismissive tone, like it ain't that important, nobody would have got paid attention to it and it would have got the draw that it was needed. He had to speak to it in a certain way so that we can pay attention to ourselves, so that now we can change our behavior and attitude towards these things, or at least draw more attention for those who may be unaware, so that we can induce the necessary change. So that's what I think in regards to the video. I'm in support of it because I believe, now that we knowing and conversating with brother, but even look at it over and over again, there was a greater message that was being conveyed, and that was, this is unacceptable. Let's deal with it.
Absolutely. Brother Adam, you got anything you want to say to that?
Well, that was wonderful breakdown once again. I appreciate you being able to be understanding, coherent to what you see and hear, and I acknowledge it at the same time with the necessary due diligence that our people need to adhere to this message by, because that's the spirit that it was carrying behind everything that had been brought forth. We must be able to correct ourselves and not depend on other governments or powers that be, police forces or anything, to be our justice system. we as a people must establish a righteous, functioning, accountable justice system amongst ourselves so we can be safe operating amongst each other. That when we see, you know, these type of mishaps, that we have a group of strong brothers our age and in our generation that can come step up and be the big homies, even here in Israel, and be like, look, we ain't on that. Go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, go throw your right on. You know what I'm saying, go throw your right on. You know what I'm saying, go ahead and hit the corner. Because if they respect that and they can see that, then they'll look up to that and they'll change. I'll say this: there's positive rap here in Israel as well. So what I didn't show, because that wasn't the point of showing it, but you know, even Saad Madiel got a son who, you know, got a real good talent. He can sing and rap, and he produces positive music here in the land of Israel. So he's shooting videos and, you know what I'm saying, with another brother, and they in the lands, same location, different perspective. You understand? One represent what y'all talking about and the fruits of y'all community. The other one represent the other side of that, but it ain't been addressed. So I addressed it, and we here to be able to correct it in divine order. So, hallelujah.
That was explained very well. I want to say a few things. So, to it.
Yo, real quick, speak to this too. Because the question says, was an invitation given to the young sons in the video to join the live? There's so much that can be said about this. So if you want to just kind of bake that in as well, I think that's worth speaking to, because you know, one of the things we wanted to do was let this kind of go out to those so that we can engage with them. But I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, for sure. So in short, first of all, shalom, maskila, mashalom mek. So this is not for them. This is something that we wanted to put together very quickly with the individual who created the video. And then from this, we use this as an impetus to now actually speak to the young sons, them and all the ones alike. And so that's what the momentum that we'll ride with this. But this was for him in particular to get a better understanding, because as Saif said, you know, especially when you're dealing with 25 and under, there's still lack of a lot of development biologically, spiritually, and etc. that would in some cases get in the way of the said conversations. So we can deal with that in a separate, we're going to deal with that in a separate realm and get to know each of the individuals, our young sons. And even in the when you go to the lower states of existence and communities around the world, you get around very low grade people, okay, like despicable, like, ooh, I don't even want to be around them. But in the nation, again, the fruits, even in our low state, you're gonna see the light and the love and the intelligence in our youth, even in that state. Them same young sons, you know, would come around, hey, shalom, though, Kobe said, like, you're not even gonna see that. They have to. It's almost like a cosplay. So we'll have that conversation at a in a later time, which is the time is now. But I wanted to just address that. So I want to talk about this. First off, I want to say this. If you have went away from this idea, if you've strayed away, your inner compass is leading you somewhere else to where, hey, the Hebraic understanding, lifestyle, and or the kingdom is not something that you agree with, not something that you live by, then and that maybe you have bad experiences with, quote unquote. This particular conversation oftentimes will lead to an emotional one and not a prophetic one, which can conflate and then start to create friction where it's unnecessary. You've already moved on with your life, even if, hey, maybe you know the young son, maybe it's your niece's cousins, auntie, whatever. I'm just giving you an example, right? So that may still have a sentimental value, but for the sake of what it is that we're doing here is we're making sure that we get back to that established order and that prophetic vision that was given to us. That's the purpose here. If you're not in alignment with that, this conversation is not going to resonate you in a way where it'll be constructive. So there's no need for us to even engage with it. You can comment all you want because it's open space, but I'm just saying that just to let you, just to be clear on that. I won't personally engage in that type of conversation because it won't get us nowhere. But I want to redirect for those of us who do still understand that this ideology and that this kingdom is what it is. This is for us to be able to speak about, which is my personal response to his message. I didn't see anything wrong with what he said, even if it was just a warning. Let me explain why. Here's why. What he said and how he said it is so light compared to if we are in the wrong, what will happen to us by Yah and his judgment for not doing what we supposed to be doing in his land. The beatings, the looking at your grown men and calling them boys, the abuse, the ape with an R in the front, all of those things that has happened to us in a land that we were held in captivity, the burning, the fight, all of those things where we didn't have no sovereignty, no expression of self, not being able to worship Yah Yisrael is a result of us wanting to be like the other nations and inculcating the ways of other people in our land. So Yah kicked us out in the first place. So the little bit of what he said and how he said it is nothing compared to the judgment. But we don't even have to look to that. We already starting to see the implications of that idea happening right there within our people wherever you go. In the land of Israel, we've had incidents. Out here, we've had live incidents, killings, murder, people being killed as a result of this vibration. As Yosef said, it could have been all Yochai, hallelujah. But if it's in the same vibration, it'll start to have the same effect. We're dealing with vibrations and frequencies. When you use the word op, if you don't have an op, you're going to create one because you're using the word. You manifesting. The flashy lifestyle. The I don't and y'all, we got and y'all don't. So first of all, if you're not familiar with me, you need to get a little bit more familiar. I didn't grow up. Again, I didn't grow up in Israel. I grew up in Atlanta. My Abba was already in the kingdom before I was born. So I knew what I was supposed to be. And that influence is so strong, even with myself, who've always understood the kingdom. I've always understood the kingdom and what our mission is. I've always understood it from a very small child. But I was still influenced to where when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, I'm in a blood sect. My neighborhood, blood, had little cliques. MySpace, I was in a clique. Got to high school, I'm in a clique, goon squad. We had parties, we having shootouts. I'm fighting, I had to get pulled out of school. My Abba found out. We down in Florida fighting this rival little squad, or the ops down in Florida, which they were from where we was from, but we was on spring break fighting. We had a whole summer long, but just everywhere we see them, it was on site. Guns getting pulled out, shots, the whole nine. I got 3-4 partners that dead, gone, out of here. With us one day, shot and killed. People that I was with every single day. So if you don't understand, and then Chicago is that times 10. If you don't understand coming out of that reality, and not having a compass. I don't know what my brother's background, but I don't believe he grew up a Hebrew. So if he didn't, that means that he's trying to operate and find himself through that living hell, trying to find an identity, get caught up into these street gangs, seeing people you love die, family members die, seeing people you know kill somebody, having to ride around always with something on you because you don't never know. You can't go to the street next to you because they don't like your neighborhood, whether you got something to do with it or not. If you don't understand living in that reality, you can't understand why he's coming in the way that he's coming. Because nobody in their right mind would try to emulate that if that wasn't just your reality by circumstance. You wouldn't in your right mind try to emulate that. So now, by me starting out with telling you my story, that's for me to say that I understand how powerful that influence is. I'm a person who I was able to break away from any kind of, little vices of food, cheese, whatever. I was able to do that like this. But I tell people all the time, the hardest thing that was hard for me to really break away from was music. I remember being like, man, I ain't listening to rap music no more. But it took me a whole 6-7 months to really break away because it was a feeling that I had to chase. You drive and you want to feel a certain kind of way. So I had to detox that from out of my system so I understand this influence. And I understand how easily our young soldiers and our young warriors can get influenced by that. But it's our responsibility to channel, because all it is masculinity, or an attempt to express masculinity and testosterone as they coming into. But it's being misguided. Because before our youth and young men can even do anything, it has to be cool in their mind first. And until it's cool, they don't want to emulate it. So right now, what's cool is drill music, drill culture. That's cool. And so it's an expression of that testosterone coming to be in the masculinity, but it's a faulty and deceptive perception and expression, more so to speak. It's faulty because all it gets you to do is self-destruct. As Yosef said earlier, which is what? If you really understood and you really, I'm a stepper, and you really after the ops, then you would do it on the highest level. Abba Gadol fought on the highest level. What good was him to fight his brother that was down the street in the same aspect and same condition that he was in? He said, no, let's fight on a level to where we are getting out of this condition. It's hard to teach people about dietary standards, and they got all these convenience stores next to them and Harold's Chicken everywhere you go, and you smelling it everywhere, and it's just convenient. But getting out of that and now creating our own dietary standards, we were able to now create, and now we went to war with industries. We went to war with institutions. We went to war with those who are supposed to be governing. And we understood that the greatest war is one that of the spirit. So you're talking about if you want to say, like you said, gangsters. Shagril facing all that he faced for us, moving throughout the world, going into countries, stating what our position was, who we were, what it is that we came to do, and stood on it, facing 300 and something years ready to do that on behalf because he stood on business, didn't fold. So it's a way to channel that energy, but it's through dedication, or what we like to call dedication, but education for those who may not understand the language of understanding where we came from, the predicament and the consequences to these particular actions, and what your greater goal is. Because ain't nobody trying to be dead, ain't nobody trying to be in prison for the rest of their life, ain't nobody trying to have broken families everywhere, ain't nobody trying to have bad health. So if that's not your goal, then we got to do something different to get a different result. These are the things that are necessary to speak about. And what he said was nothing wrong with. It's a warning and a tap and a wake-up call before Yah intervenes, which Yah has already been intervening. So, Ravakasha, you'll say?
No, you spot on, brother. The momentum is high, but that's just encouraging that we continue to do this. And I've seen a couple comments asking about the young brothers. And so those who know those, please send them this live. They can inbox us, reach out to myself, or reach out to Brother Adam, and we can definitely come back and do this and have another conversation at another level. But brother is in the land at this present moment. And so that can be something that can be done personally at another level. But we'll get to that point. We unfortunately kind of have to wrap up just for the simple fact that we scheduled it for about an hour, so we went over that, but that's okay. I do have a radio interview I got to do, so I have to be gone in the next couple of minutes. But let's go ahead and spend the last maybe about 8 minutes just kind of with the closing remarks and what the next steps are. So do you want to?
If you
go
can,
ahead,
read some of the point out some of the important comments, read some of them, and then we'll end with that.
Copy that. Let me bring them back up. So many beautiful, beautiful comments. So it's a lot of them, brothers and sisters. So please excuse me if I don't choose yours. Here's one. This is on a public platform, so I'm almost sure that they're going to see it. I just want to make sure that they know that this is coming from a place of love to help redirect and not teach and not destroy the good parts. Okay. Of course.
Absolutely.
Man, that's where we're coming from. And just like we was able to hear the sincerity in our brother Adam's heart, they will be able to hear the sincerity in our hearts. And that's the thing. Recognize real. And that's always been the case. And so they'll hear the sincerity and the authenticity in our hearts and what we expressing. And now we just got to, take the next steps in making it a reality. This live will be shared afterwards. Prayerfully, my peer will take the time to watch and really understand the points given in this live without letting ego affect their thought processes. That's a beautiful comment, too.
That's very beautiful.
I think that's one of the Saw's young sons himself. All right, here's a longer one, but I think it's a good one. So let me enlarge it a little bit so the brothers can see it as well. When I saw the video, I saw sons, young lions, young warriors that I know who were imitating something they've only seen on TV and not lived, saying that they was a lyric that sounded something like, I have a shield protection, but nigga, I need a sword. Through my spiritual eye, I saw them being misguided. So my question is, who has been molding them? Who has been directing their image, creating their brand? Who has been helping them to create this music? Whoever that brother is, he needs to be reached out to because he is the leader misleading these young warriors. They truly need a sword, the double-edged sword, the word of Yah. We need our exemplary soldiers, our warriors for Yah, to create a rites of passage program for our young lions. Sister, it's all coming. I know it's kind of like the cheap answer, but this is all coming. And that's why we're on here. And that's why we're reaching out to brothers like Adam who can help and aid and assist these processes as we continue in our generation to contribute to the evolution of our kingdom. And so it's gonna come from us. You know, our fathers and our mothers, such as yourself, has done an extraordinary job in getting us to this point. And so, you know, trust the process, and that's all we can ask. But we're definitely will make sure that these things come into fruition. That's why we're dealing with it on a public platform, so we can be held accountable. So that's why we thank brother, because that's courageous what he did. He put himself out there so he can be held accountable. We'll close on this one. You know, you got to always have this one, and it's a necessary question. So what's the mission? And so let's all kind of touch on that, I think, to close out.
Okay.
Brother Adam, you want to go ahead and go first?
Hallelujah. What's the mission is to restore divine order. Come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and uphold that with the righteous integrity that we are called to do so. Because just like the brother said about, you know, the everyday street life, I'll just say this. Back in Chicago, I'm not known to roam around without a gun on me. It's a necessity. It's a part of the outfit. Those who know me back at home, that's an automatic, yeah, that's what he on. Don't even worry about it. And I've been shot 4 times, all at the same time. So when we talk about these guns and playing with these guns, I done felt the bullets. I got the wounds. You understand? This ain't what they want. So what's the mission? Restore order and make sure that our youth don't fall into those same circumstances and that they stay alive and not be put in the ground.
That's beautiful, brother.
Yosef Bavakasha, please.
Yeah. Brother hit it right on the head. And I'm going to say it simply, not just for sake of time, but just for brevity's sake. This is the mission. I hope you don't miss what this is. Not just what it was, but what this is. See, our presentation wasn't us taking no more high ground. Our presentation, as we stated over and over again, maybe in a different way, was to deal with the realities and to take responsibility of that which is our responsibility. And that's why you heard me say emphatically so. Those young men belong to us. They're ours. They're our responsibility. And we're not shirking our responsibility. And so we're here to say that we're going to deal with it. But we're also here to say that, hey, these things involve all of us. The African proverb is a real thing. It takes a village to raise a child. So, yes, the parents, yes, the immediate family, but it also takes all of us. And so, again, if it takes a village, we got to have a new reorientation of our mindset when the village speaks out and speaks to these things in a way that can be reformative and healing. So, brother Adam, as a village member, whether we believe him to be a part of the kingdom or not, he has the kingdom mind based on everything I heard. So he's qualified to say, hey, we got to get right. Okay, this is how we believe we get right. So this is the mission, to deal with these things in real time and not to be afraid to speak to that which may be perceived as failure, but it's only a failure if we all give up or we all abandon the mission. And we're saying we're not abandoning the mission. So that is the purpose of this, and that's the goal, to make sure that there's a continuity of generations and then we continue this great work to serve the Holy One of Israel. Brother Prince, you're right.
Absolutely. So in closing and conclusion with me, a couple months back, I had to sit down with the Atarim in Atlanta, and they asked me, what do we do about the youth? How do we help? Like, I see, you're right, that you have an ear. They listen to you. Like, what is it? What's the problem? And what do we do? The youth want to see success. They want to see that their dreams can come alive in a practical way. So we are doing it through, well, I can speak for myself, Yosef, other brothers that roll within our circle. That self-improvement journey that we're on is for the youth, is for those coming up, because they have to be able to see an example that we were able to manifest a practical reality with resources, peace, justice, the ability to move throughout this world off the principles that Yah gave us. And until they see it, Abba Gadol sounds ancient to them. Nasik Shaliach, many of them weren't even old enough to even remember. They don't understand the power. They didn't see the power that Nasik Shaliach was able to go through the land, and Israelis and Arabs would bend down, and they didn't see that they didn't see that. So our self-development is going to show that if we follow by these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we apply them, you can have power on this earth with man and with Yah. That's what Yisrael mean in the first place. He who has power with man and Yah to have influence, to establish order. So that's what we're doing every day. But make sure you tune in. If you are not connected with myself and you'll say, our brother, then tune in with us, see the content, support the content, share the content, send it to your sons. And then from there, we'll see change continue to happen. We packed out the Harold Washington Cultural Center in Chicago with over 1,000 people in there, many of them with from all kind of walks of life. GDs, BDs, Lords, Cobras. And it was all in there like, man, y'all from where? Man, how we speak the language? Can I learn Hebrew? Man, how y'all diet, man? Y'all skin. And they're trying to find a better way. But tap into what we're doing. We're doing the work. We're doing it currently. Tap in. Follow us. Support us. Do what, see what we're doing. And it's only going to continue to grow. So we're doing it already. Hallelujah. Todah Rabbah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Todah Rabbah, family. Todah to the brothers, and until next time. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.